You're listening to the Canadian Women of the Outdoors podcast, the first podcast by Canadian women for Canadian women about Canadian women. Brought to you by Revolution Armory. Join the revolution. And True North Baits, superior quality fishing tackle. See what the fuss is about. For 10% off all plastics, use code CWO10. Enjoy the episode.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Canadian Women of the Outdoors. I know it's been a minute since I released an episode. July was pretty crazy with kids stuff and me being sick and work. So now that July is done and over with and we're into August, we're going to get back into it. So this is episode 25. And I'd like to introduce this next guest, Stacie Burton, owner of Burton Paddle Co.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
There you go. So how you doing tonight?
Good.
I'm excited to have you on. It was funny. It was after Megan's episode, I think, when you followed me and then I started creeping you. And I was like, oh my God, like this, we'll get into the business side of things, but like that is just so cool and beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Like, I was like, yeah, got to have her on. Badass Canadian woman doing badass things. So
I was so excited when you messaged me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, again, we'll get into the business side of things, but I couldn't not. Like, we'll talk about that later, but I couldn't not message you. But before we get into the business, tell me a little bit about yourself, like where you grew up, where you're from, where you are now. I noticed you're into fishing. Do you do more outdoor stuff? Where did the love of all that come from? Kind of give us a background on you.
So I grew up in Iroquois Falls, Ontario. I'm not sure if you know where that is.
Nope.
No? Okay. So it's about, do you know where Timmins is?
Yes.
So like 45 minutes from Timmins. And now I live in Cochrane. So it's like 30-ish minutes away from Cochrane. So I grew up there, and it's a very small town, like under 5,000 people. Everyone's really into the outdoors. So growing up, I always enjoyed the outdoors. Like I'd go fishing with my dad or with friends or with my grandpa when he had time because he owned like the only gas station in town. Well, there's two, but he owned one of them. If not, he'd give me a bucket of minnows to play with because he sold minnows. But so I always enjoyed the outdoors. And then as I got like into my teens, I kind of like forgot about it. I was into other things. And
I think every teen went through that because I was the same way. Like when you get into like high school, you're like, eh.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, that's boring. That doesn't interest me. And then I went off to college to the city. Well, I went to Sudbury for school. It's not
That's
very
your
big.
city?
Yeah, that's like big to me, you know? So I went to school there and I was like, I don't think city life's for me. So then I moved back up north and then I kind of started getting into the outdoors again. And then I ended up dating my boyfriend who is obsessed with the outdoors. And then he kind of got me back into it and into fishing. And I started dabbling with hunting. That's new to me. But yeah, I'm definitely like all in for the outdoors now. It's my favorite pastime, other than painting.
I just have to say, I love the fact that you consider Sudbury city.
Yeah, like I went to Toronto for like my second or first time, I don't even know, like last summer, and I was like, this is so overwhelming to me to go to just Toronto. I'm like, I don't know what to do here.
I grew up in that, and then I moved into the country, and I'm like, I don't even know. Well, like when I go back to visit my parents, I'm like, get me out of here. Yeah. I don't know how I lasted 30 years in the city. It's crazy. So what did you go to school for in Sudbury? Did it have anything? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, does it have anything to do with your current business or is completely?
No, it's completely different. I did community and justice services, the corrections program.
Oh, that's cool.
During college, yeah, for 2 years. I graduated from that. And now I work in my field, but it's it's nice. It's a balance. Like I'm not doing it for work, right? Yeah. So that's what I enjoy.
So you're hardcore into fishing then. So what is your favorite fish to target? Do you prefer open water or ice fishing? I know if you're that far north, you're it's a lot more ice fishing than open water would be my guess.
Yeah. Like, see, I like both. This is where it gets tough. um, so I like open water fishing for lake trout, especially in the spring.
I'm still
Um,
trying to chase my first lake trout. I haven't caught one
are
yet.
you?
Yeah.
They're in the like it's cool because they're in the shallows, right? They're
Yeah.
feeding and everything. Um, so that's awesome. We fish them in like about 14 feet of water, and
Really?
and we bottom bounce them.
Hmm.
And so we tie our spinners with whatever color's working. So you kind of have to test it out. And we use 20-pound monofilament and to an upsize bait holder with a trailer hook. And then we
Hmm.
put like a big sucker minnow on it. And then we just do that. And I caught my biggest lake trout this spring. It was 32.5 inches.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
it was a monster.
That did it put up like a hell of a fight
Oh
or
yeah, like my arm was tired, and at first I thought I was snagged. I'm like, no, like they were arguing in the boat. I'm like, I'm snagged, and he's like, just wait. It doesn't realize yet that it's been caught yet. I'm
oh
like,
my god.
okay, and I fought it for like 10 minutes. It was
Oh my
crazy.
god.
Yeah. And that same day I got my PB Smallie too on the same type of setup. It was 18 inches. I
Oh
mean,
shit.
people have caught bigger, but I
Yeah.
was pretty proud of myself.
I mean, that's still a decent size smallie. I think I saw that picture. That's a decent size
Yeah.
smallie. Like smallies are my favorite fish to target and
Yeah.
catch just cuz like I love the fight they put up. Like
Yeah,
it's quite the fight.
absolutely.
Pardon me.
And winter, I love ice fishing. I mean, you kind of have to like winter if you want to live here. Um, but I like going for like browns, rainbows, brookies in the winter because
Mhm.
we set up a sight hole. So we like drill a big hole and we jig them in with
Oh yeah.
tungsten jig and a little piece of worm, and we just and like 5 feet of water sometimes, and we watch them come in, and you could use small rattle baits. Sometimes we set up jaw jackers with a swivel. Um, but yeah,
How
so
how
I'm
thick?
like I could go on and on.
No, this is your episode. Talk.
Yeah.
It's I want to hear
So,
you. How thick does the ice get up there?
oh, like it's super safe. Like I can't like by Christmas and January, like you're out there
Yeah.
on the ice. Yeah, it gets thick.
Now, when you like if when you're doing the sight hole, like like is that a lot of effort to cut
Yeah,
that out, or like do you like do multiple like
l-
holes
we
and
do.
then cut around it?
Yeah, so we do multiple holes and then we kind of push the top layer underneath. And we take out all the
Oh,
slush and everything.
mhm.
I'd like to get one of I don't know what they're called. Like those big saws there? Have you
Yeah,
seen those? I'd like to get one of those because I feel as though that would make it easier than like drilling all the holes because you
kind
have
of
to
like what the ice people have in Frozen the movie. I have children, that's why I know
yeah.
all that stuff. But
Yeah, like that would be epic, but apparently they're pricey. So, I mean, we make do with what we got.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And like I know I went fishing in Kirkland Lake and it gets cold up there.
Oh yeah.
Like
Like,
you like there's no way you can like sit a full day on without a hut and heat.
oh no. Like
It's oh, I've never
minus
been more cold.
40, minus
Ugh.
40. But we still go out there. Like,
Well, and I mean that's when you know the ice is safe. If you're having consistently -40 weather, like
yeah,
and I mean how deep are most of the lakes that you're fishing? Like
they
d-
get pretty deep. Like when we go ice fishing, we don't go like unless you want to jig up a laker.
mhm,
Um, which they go like they're so deep. They go so it's hard to get them in the winter, in
mhm.
my opinion. But we usually stay in like 5 feet of water and go up a little bit because we typically target trout.
Yeah.
So, but the Lakers, I have caught one in the winter, which that's a whole other fight with a tiny rod, but
Yep.
um yeah, they get pretty deep. It depends what lake you're going to.
Do you
It
have a
all
lot of
depends.
lakes around you?
Oh yeah. We have
Yeah.
one right in town here. Yeah.
Really? That's kind of
Yeah, and it's
cool.
just trout in there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
That's
we just like if we don't want to go like out of town, we can just walk down like it's right by my house. So I could just like 5-minute walk down to the lake and fish. It's
5-minute
perfect.
walk in freezing cold weather.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotta bundle up just to do it.
We got a sled now, so it's not so bad. We get there faster.
Does it have like heated handles and heated seats and all that fun stuff?
Well, I'm pretty sure we just got it last year, but I don't drive his baby. But I'm pretty sure it has heated handles and everything. My seat doesn't. Um,
Oh, it's obviously for
but
the driver, right?
yeah,
They don't care about the passenger, just
I
the
just put
driver.
those hot pause things and
Oh, those things are
hope
wonderful.
hope for the best.
I got them for my boots this past year. Oh, they are the
Yeah,
best thing.
yeah,
So you say you primarily target trout. Do you eat said trout? I love trout. I think smoked
yeah.
trout is the best thing ever.
So
So,
we do. But like we have a lot in our freezer right now.
yeah.
So well like within our limits there.
Yep.
So we do eat them, but we do a lot of catch and release too. Like lately it's just been catch and release unless the trout's bleeding cuz we always say a bleeding trout's a dead trout.
Yep.
So unless if it's kicking off like good, then we let it go. But if it's bleeding and it doesn't look like it's going to take off well, we keep it.
Yep.
But a lot of catch and release and like the big Blakers, like we let those go because they don't taste very good.
No.
In like my opinion, they don't taste
Yeah.
very good. So lots of catch and release.
So what's your favorite way to do trout? Favorite way to cook it up?
Tip I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the cook for wild game and stuff like that in my
Okay.
house. I
So what's
had
your
my
favorite way to eat it then?
just like in a pan, just
Just pan fry?
fried. Yeah, like just you can put it buttered or just oil, salt, pepper, it's good. But we also do pinwheels and like it's cream cheese and like onions, garlic, and then we roll up the trout and then we barbecue it or we even like air fry it and it's really good.
That's a good idea. I might have
Yeah.
to try that.
Yeah,
That sounds really tasty.
it's really good.
N-
But yeah, he's the cook for the wild meat cuz I'm like especially if we have like if we're went hunting and we're like cooking duck or something. I'm like I don't know if it's ready, like
Yeah.
so I just let him take care of that and I taste test.
So when did you get into hunting? You just started? Like a year,
Yeah.
couple years in? Or
So
just started?
I started, so we've been dating 3 years. So right when we started dating, he was like, I'm into hunting. I'm like, well, that's cool. I've never really done it, but I'll tag along. And then that made me want to try it. And so then I got into it. I'm trying my best. It's very different, especially learning because I've never handled a gun when I was younger. So um but I shot my first rough grouse. I shot a
That's
rabbit.
awesome.
Had my go at ducks, but it wasn't it wasn't successful. But I
Ducks are
really,
fast. Ducks
yeah,
are very fast.
and I want to give it a go. And I've been practicing my calls. They're not great, but I'm putting in the effort. But it all takes practice,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah,
Like
I've been hunting for 5, 6 years now. And my first couple seasons, I completely missed a turkey, like right in front of me, like not moving, not even a duck, just completely missed it. So it
yeah,
takes practice, and you get excited too. Like when they're in front of you, you're like, oh yeah, here we
yeah.
go.
I
Like
did that with my first roughie, and it's like it was just sitting there laughing at me, like it just kept ducking its head every time and I'm like getting so frustrated. He's like, keep trying. And I finally got it. And I actually did my first moose hunt last year,
Oh,
and we didn't get a moose, but I'm gonna try again this year.
that's
But
awesome. That's on my
yeah,
list. That's on my list. And I really want a grouse too. I haven't shot a grouse yet. Grouse are
no,
delicious and we have them on our property, but they are asshole birds.
yeah,
But
we go for pintails too. I haven't even tried that because like they spot you from a mile away. And we call them the chuckle chickens because it sounds like they're laughing as they're flying away from you. So
that's
yeah,
awesome.
I haven't tried that, but I'm hoping to get a bear as well.
Ooh, yes.
But I'm big. I haven't had big game. I haven't shot big game yet, so
Well, hopefully 2024 is going to be your year
it's
for
it's
that.
gonna be my year. I could
Yeah.
feel it
I
because
better
I
see
tried
pictures on
so hard.
Instagram.
Yeah, I tried so hard last year in the rain and everything, and oh, but there was lots of wolves last year too, so I think that didn't help.
That's kind of
So
scary, but
yeah, it was because we'd all stand at different points, right? And it was my
yeah.
first time hunting, and it's dark out, and we're all set up, and I'm by myself. And then the
And you,
light starts coming up, and then I see all the tracks around me, and I'm like, this is kind of scary. And they see you before you see them
oh
sometimes.
yeah.
So
It's kind of weird when you're in like the bush like that. There's probably an animal watching you. Like,
yeah,
and you can't see it. Like there is
yeah.
probably something out there watching you.
And
But
he always tells me like, you're the most dangerous thing out here. And I'm like, all right, but I'm like, sure I am. And then I try to keep telling myself that, but
I don't know. I wouldn't want to face off with the grizzly. I'll tell you that right now.
yeah.
I
I
would.
mean, we don't have a grizzly here. Just black bears, but I
That's
still wouldn't
still.
want to come face to face with that, especially like a sow or something.
And if you don't have a gun in your hand too, if you're just standing there like walking around and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
I have nothing." Like
yeah,
like if you're just walking through the woods or whatever or hiking, like do you carry bear spray or anything like that?
yeah. We typically do. Even when we go fishing, we just bring it with us in case.
Cuz like you never know up there, right?
Yeah. I mean, like
But
the bears come into town, so like look for garbage or whatever,
I was gonna so Yogi Bear is coming to find some picnic baskets or something.
Yeah.
What?
And then everyone posts about it on Facebook, and it's the talk of the town sometimes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So what's like has moose or anything else crazy come through town or just bears?
I don't know. I wouldn't in Cochrane, I don't know if a moose has ever come here, but I've been told in Iroquois Falls that a moose has come into town, but I've never seen it for myself. So, I mean, like you'll see foxes too and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like bears, I've seen that, but
That's
I've never,
crazy.
yeah,
Just wandering around like it's nothing. Like
yeah, like so when like I go to see like family or friends, like going in the Sudbury or whatever, um, to us seeing a moose is like a normal thing. But sometimes like I've met people when I went to school that had never seen one.
yeah.
Like they come from like Toronto, and then they come to school in Sudbury, and then I seem like real redneck. I'm like, you've never seen a moose before, like
I'd shit my pants and be so excited. Like that
yeah,
would be the coolest thing. Like
yeah,
I still think it's even cool. We were on a fishing trip up um like 6 hours north from us, and when we were driving down the road a black bear was just chilling there and I was like, "Oh my god, that's so cool." Like it was so exciting for me. But
yeah,
here you got bears wandering through town.
yeah. Like we'll be driving. I'm like, oh, a moose. You check the power line, and you look over, and you're like, oh yeah, there's a moose.
Well, then also like you want to make sure you don't hit them because sometimes they run
Yeah,
out in front of you and you're not winning that battle.
yeah. Like
Like,
so many get hit. There's been a lot hit this year.
oh
We've
really?
seen quite a few. Yeah, and
So
like
what happens like if somebody hits it? Does somebody get called and like does meat go somewhere or like
like I don't know what happens to them after I'm like, they should just donate them to the polar bears here in town because they have a polar bear habitat. So here in Cochrane.
What?
So yeah, we have a polar bear habitat. It's our town mascot is a polar bear, and we have a polar bear habitat. So I'm like, why don't they just donate them? I don't know if it's because they got hit and they're full of like glass or whatever, but whatever's good, just give it to them.
Wow, you're that far north. That's okay.
Yeah,
That's pretty
and
cool, but kind of crazy.
like we don't have like polar bears here.
Yeah.
They're just like, I think they were like nuisance bears from like a, you know,
Yeah.
farther north, and
Yeah,
then they
yeah,
brought them here. Um, but yeah, we have the couple polar bears. It's pretty cool.
That's pretty neat. All right, now get into what I'm really excited about is your business, Burton Paddle Co. It is the coolest thing. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out on Instagram. It's beautiful artwork on
Thank you.
paddles. Like it's beautiful. Like
Thank
I was
you.
showing my partner this morning, like the Instagram. She's like, "Well, that's beautiful. Like I want one of those, so I might be coming to you for a Christmas gift."
Yeah, absolutely. I'm opening up like customs for Christmas in September.
Okay, noted.
Yeah, because I'm like, because they take about, like, when I order the paddles, they take about like almost, sometimes it takes a month for them to come in
Oh
because
wow.
I have to order them from like another business, and it's
Yeah.
this whole process. So I have to get the orders in earlier. So
So when did that all start? Like how have you always been interested in art and artwork? Because like it's beautiful. It's beautiful work.
oh,
Like
thank you. Well, I've always enjoyed art. Like my mom's very artistic. So I feel like I got that from her. So I always enjoy drawing, and like at my mom's house, she has these big picture windows, and like every holiday and stuff, she paints something in the window because
oh, that's pretty cool.
there's a school across the street, so she paints something like, fun for the kids. And then as I got older, I helped her with that. I always enjoyed it. Um, but for the paddles, my boyfriend is really into canoeing.
Mhm.
It's one of his passions, and I was like, oh well, I should paint him a paddle, for our anniversary or his birthday gift. I can't remember. It was something like that. So I went and I googled like where to find an unfinished canoe paddle, and I ordered it, and I painted him. I think what did I paint him? I'm looking at it right now. A brookie. And so I painted that, and I was like, oh, here you go, and he's like, oh, you should start a business. And I was like, oh yeah, I don't know. I kind of left it as that. And then Christmas time came around, and I did another paddle for his dad for at the cottage. And then the same thing, like, you should start a business. And I'm like, I think I'm just like enjoying doing this, as a hobby
Yeah.
or for presents. And then Megan from Lakeside Designs, she's like, start a business and come do craft shows and stuff with me. And I'm like, okay, I guess so. So then I started, and then she's helped me kind of like start off and what to do. And um so yeah, so then it kind of like kicked off from there. And I started with my paddles, and I get some from like different sizes, like 24 inches to 51, 57, like they
Yeah.
vary. I'm starting to dabble in other projects as well, not just paddles. Um, but yeah, so that kind of kickstarted my business. But I've only started this year, so I'm still learning a lot,
Yeah.
and what works, what doesn't, and people from different parts, like some people will, like parts of Ontario or whatever, prefer different types of species or whatever it may be. So I'm just trying to find out what to paint and gear towards people's likings,
Yeah.
and not just my likes.
So like for the paint, is it acrylic, water bait, like watercolor? Like
So I use acrylic for like the whitewash in the back
okay.
to get a good base to it, but I use watercolor paints. So I recommend not using it in the water, even though I seal it with a
I mean, I'm pretty sure,
waterproof.
are they not just for decoration? Like
You'd be surprised though. Like some people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy this for my dad and then hoping he can use it in the water." And I'm like, "They're watercolor paints." But but I'm like, "You could do like after purchase, you could do whatever you want, but I do seal it with like boat marine sealant,
mhm.
but I still don't recommend putting them, in the water because you never know, like you could have
It's one of
missed
those
the
things like
spot
if it's
and
outside, if it maybe gets hit by a little bit of rain, that's more so what you're trying to protect it from, right?
yeah, exactly. So, and like I wouldn't recommend putting it directly like um somewhere where it does get hit by like the weather, whatever weather, even the sun might make it fade.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I primarily use watercolor and some acrylic, and then I stain it and then I clear coat it, and that takes hours.
I was gonna say, how long is this process? Like from beginning to end, from when you get the paddle in your hand raw, do you have to
Yeah.
like sand it down or anything like that? Or
No, so they come unfinished, so that's a huge help. And then I whitewash the whole thing typically, well, the front of it, and then um I have to wait for that to dry, and then I sketch out the whole painting. So I sketch out the whole painting, and then I have to pick my colors, and then I'm like testing different colors, and then I put it on, and then I have to let it dry because watercolors will blend together. So I have to let different sections dry before I apply another color over top. And depending on the animal, like for example, walleye, I have to when I paint a walleye, I have to paint from the bottom color and up, like all the way to the
yeah.
scales. So like the lighter green and then the darker and then the bands and then all the scales. Like I have to really look at the animal and be like, okay, what color do I need to start with as the base and then work up? And I have to let all the layers dry before I put anything.
That that sounds like a process. And that doesn't
Yeah.
even include like the finishing. Like that's just for the
Yeah.
painting itself. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Like,
Um sorry, go ahead.
oh, I'm working on a few right now because I'm going to a powwow with Megan actually this weekend.
That's
And
exciting.
yeah, so I'm working on a few right now, and like I'm looking at them like I hope I have these done by then because they take so long. But yeah, I'm looking at them right now, and I think they're gonna turn out. I've These are new species that I've never painted before, so I'm excited to show everyone what they look
So
like.
do you carry stock or is it most of it all made to order?
Made to order. Like I have some stock, like once I'm done at a show and whatever didn't sell, it's up for sale. Like I put it on my Facebook page and my Instagram, and if someone's interested, they let me know, and they pay for the paddle, but they also pay for shipping, so I let them
Yeah.
know how much it costs. But around like our area, like Cochrane, York Falls, like I could deliver, or someone wants to swing by and pick it up, like I'm cool with that too.
Yeah.
So,
Do you do a lot of trade shows or how are you getting into doing more trade shows
um,
now that you've
I've
kind of
only
started this?
I've only done two so far. So I did one for the fur trade. They had asked Megan and I to go and set up a booth there. So that was really cool to see because I had never been to one of their events before.
Yeah.
Um, and it was really neat. I've never seen like the whole process start to finish, so it really gave me an appreciation um, for trappers and like the fur trade,
Yeah.
um, and doing it in a like um doing it like in, I don't know how to explain it, like a healthy way kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's like from start to finish what they do, their whole process, and it really, like, I could really appreciate what they do. Um so we did that, which was neat. And then we did our first powwow, I think it was in July, and that was really cool. I had never been to one before, so it was really neat to see. And I sold a couple things, but since then, but I'm just starting,
Yeah.
so trying to find what works, what doesn't, and I'm excited to moving towards Christmas. I think that'll be really good.
I think
'Cause there's
Christmas
a lot.
time will
Yeah,
be pretty, like I said, I've got a couple ideas in my head that I'm like, okay, might have to Christmas gifts and stuff like that, cuz
yeah.
they're beautiful and
Thank
they're
you.
different. They're different.
Yeah,
Like it's a neat kind of um decoration. Like it's especially for those like cottagers or
yeah.
outdoorsy people. Like it's beautiful decor for that kind of stuff.
Thank you. And especially for like northerners too. Like I'm like, that's who I like. I feel like my clientele is like, they they appreciate it a lot, and
Yeah.
it's nice.
Have you delivered like all over Ontario and stuff or
I've done a lot like around our district here.
yeah.
Um, but I have been reached out. There's someone who reached out from like Australia, and I'm like, I don't know if I've never done that before. How am I, So
But how
I'd have
cool
to
is
look
that
into
though?
it. Yeah,
Like
I know.
that it reached that far. Like that's
Yeah,
pardon me, that is insanely cool that it reached that far.
yeah.
Like
I was like, oh, that's really neat.
yeah.
So I'm hoping I'm also gonna look at different, there's lots of canoe pages too. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll post on there,
Yeah.
and reach
Oh.
out and see if there's
Social
other canoes.
media
Yeah.
social media is like the best way to get that
Yeah.
stuff now. Like to advertise and even if you advertise on some of like the fishing groups on Facebook, like, hey, I'm doing this, like because you've
Yeah.
got a lot of like anglers that will hunt or that'll like fish from canoes or kayaks. Like
Yeah.
I fish from canoes. It's not my favorite thing because I'm not very good at canoeing.
Oh yeah.
I'm always afraid I'm gonna like tip over and like I'm not
I'm
very
not good
confident in a
at it.
canoe.
I paint paddles, but I'm not very good at canoeing.
Oh,
My
well,
my boyfriend is the one who paddles. Like, he's so effortless. It doesn't even come out of the water. And I'm
oh,
like, how do you do that? So
that's
I sit at the front like a little passenger princess. And
that's me.
I just enjoy the view and get some inspiration with whatever's around me.
Yeah, I'm sitting there, I'm like, "How are we turning? What are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
which way? Which way do I go?" Like, I get overwhelmed. I'm like, "I don't know what I'm doing." Like, paddles up. Just
Yeah, or
I
I'm
don't know what
trying
I'm
to
doing.
help. I try to help, and I'm not helping. I'm just making things worse. So I just sit there.
I feel you on that one. I totally feel
Yeah.
you on that one. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'd prefer a kayak or just a regular old-fashioned boat.
Yeah.
Like,
I
I'm
like a
pretty
kayak, but I've never done like fishing from a kayak because
so
I feel
that's
like they're tippy.
so there's I have a fishing kayak, which is pretty
Okay.
well balanced. That's all I actually used to do when I lived in the city and I was near like rivers and stuff like that, like creeks and
Okay.
rivers. I would just kayak down like sections of the river, and
Yeah.
that's how I would fish because it
Okay.
wasn't deep enough for a boat, but it was kayak fishing, and
Yeah.
I've caught lots of fish from a kayak. I've caught lots of bass from a kayak. I've caught pike from a kayak. It's a little different, but
Yeah.
it's you have to like my tackle box is huge on a regular day. You have to
Okay.
like condense it because
Yeah. Yeah.
there's not much room on your kayak. So it's kind of like what your lures like grab what lures you're just gonna be using. It's a lot of top water.
Okay.
That's what I used to do is top water on the river. So yeah, and that's wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible, but
Yeah.
it's,
Sounds cool.
yeah, it was nice because a lot of the times the river would just kind of carry you down. So there
Okay.
wasn't a lot of paddling involved unless like you wanted to stop or what have you. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of just a nice float. So, but that's how I used to fish. Now I fish from like a boat or a canoe with my partner and
Yeah.
like,
Makes
but
things a little easier.
oh yeah, definitely bigger space. It's kind of, and like there's bigger lakes around here now. Like I have the opportunity to fish on lakes, and my shoulder gives out pretty quickly if I'm paddling a big lake. So,
Yeah, I believe it.
um, so we're nearing the end. Is there tell us how customers or future like listeners can reach out to you, see what your product is, what you got going on, follow you. Give me your socials.
Yeah, so you can I have a Facebook page. It's Burton Paddle Co. So you can send me a message on there if you're ever interested in a custom or interested in something that's already up for sale. Then I also have my Instagram, and you can DM me on there and check out my page, what I have on there. I post some fishing stuff on there sometimes, and hopefully I can post some hunting stuff too if I'm successful. But yeah, if you just send me a message and then we can work something out.
Okay, well, I'm going to be taking you up on that offer.
Yeah,
September,
absolutely.
you said? September is the
Yeah,
starting
I'll
date for
be
Christmas
open.
customs?
Yeah, I'm opening them up in September so that way I can have them all done by hopefully before December.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
September. Keep your calendars open, ready. Mark
Yeah.
that date down because I'm sure you're going to be busy.
I
Like,
hope so. I really love it. It's de-stresses me at the end of the day, and I love it.
well, I'm really glad you came on and talked about it. It was super nice having you, and I'm sorry I kind of
Oh,
stalked you for a little bit there.
oh, that's okay. That's all good.
But I mean, that's how I find people. People follow me, and then I
Yeah.
just completely creep the hell out of them, and I'm like, oh, they need to come on. And especially, it's nice too because you're just starting out too. So now, like, we can use this platform to promote you.
Absolutely, and I really do appreciate it.
Because, guys, listeners, it is beautiful work. If you want to get your partner, girlfriend, wife, husband, boyfriend a beautiful gift that's custom, something they like in the outdoors, this is definitely like a one of a kind work. It's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anyway, guys, we're signing off now. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. We will be back next week. Quick shout out to our sponsors, Revolution Armory and True North Baits. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, Stacie, for coming on. And we will see you guys all next week. See you guys.